Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we're doing something a lot different. So you can see we have a van here, and judging by the front of it here, it's not a 7.3 van. So this is a 6-liter van. It's a 2008. It's my father's van. He bought it in 2010 with 100,000 miles on it. It's ticked over a little over 200,000 on it now, and it's in need of some things. So I'm going to go over this van with you, show you a little bit of the inside. It's a little bit dirty because he does use it for work, and show you what we're going to be getting into and why. So this is going to be a really interesting project, so make sure you follow along with this one because hopefully this will go smoother than I'm hoping it's going to go, but we're going to find out because this van's, I don't know, 15 some years old now, and it's been painted once, but you could never tell. But it might hold some secrets, but we're going to find out. So we have a van here, obviously, and let's see if I can get this open. We have a 6-liter. Now, this thing runs really, really good, but it's doing 6-liter things. However, it's not terrible yet. It's been like that for quite some time now, but we are going to be repairing the source of this problem and going to show you what we're going to be doing to this van. So we've got a whole bunch of parts. We'll show them to you here in a little bit, but they really do cram everything in here, and this is going to be lots of fun to pull the body off of this, because that's what we're going to be doing with this van, is pulling the body off. So this has the older style interior in it. It doesn't have the newer style square interior, but the inside of this van is set up for work, and we're going to be pulling out body bolts. So we have a body bolt here. We got that one out already. There's one back here. There's one back here. There's one over there, one over here, and then 2 under the back doors there. There's also one under each seat, and then one way up front here by the floor, and then the 2 in the core support. So we've already removed the step here so we could get underneath the carpet here. And this is actually a bed rug, or so be it they call it a van rug. So this is actually made for the construction industry. It's to give a padded floor for the cargo vans, which this is. So this actually is a really, really nice carpet setup. It does really, really well because these vans obviously aren't like the Sprinters where you have the height. So at this point, you are in here kneeling to get parts and pieces or whatever you're doing. So the carpet's really, really great. But we still got to pull the body off of this van, so that's why there's no tools in here. And that is the whole reason we bought that 2-post lift that you saw in an earlier video. But this thing runs really, really good, but it needs some love. And you can see we have an exhaust on this thing. So we did that a long, long time ago whenever he bought this van. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of look over this van a little bit with you. Now, when he bought this van, it was an XL, so to speak. So black grille, black bumpers, had the sealed beam headlights, no running boards, had steel wheels. We ended up finding these wheels at Carlisle as new takeoffs. These are technically the OE wheels for this van if it was a higher end model. Changed out the little mirrors to the towing mirrors. And this thing is long. And then we came around back here and we have the chrome bumper here. So this originally had a black bumper on it. Another thing it didn't have was the pop-out windows. So these windows will actually pop out. You can unlatch them and they stick out to get some heat out of the van if it's a hot day, which is really, really nice. So this van's been painted. You can see a little bit of buffing swirls in the lights there, but it's nothing bad. That's probably the worst thing on this van, is a little bit of the swirls in the paint. But this thing is straight and very, very clean and very, very nice. Um, seat's got some wear, but it's got over 200,000 on it now. But it's been a very, very good van for him. Been running good. Just had some issues with, obviously we have the coolant problem here that you saw the bottle earlier, but we have a fix for that. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what kind of parts we have for this van sitting here, and kind of go over what we're going to be doing. So we have a little pile of parts here. So we have a oil pan gasket. We need to get some more gaskets for this yet. We have all new lifters here. So I think there's 2 in a box. There's 4 boxes in here. We have an IPR research oil relocation kit here. We got new glow plugs, and this is the cooler that IPR gets you. So this thing's really, really nice. Uses a 6.7 oil cooler. So we have that. We have a set of premium holders injectors here. We have a stage 1 Garrett turbo. We got a set of head studs. And we have a set of new Kill Devil diesel heads. So this van's going to be getting the whole works here, so to speak. And it's going to be getting a whole bunch of new stuff and pieces and parts. And we have a used oil pan here. And the reason we have the old used oil pan is because you can see there's a little bit of a ding in this one here, which is not a big deal. We can pound that out. But the oil pan on that van currently was at a shop, and it fell on the lift. I shouldn't say fell. However, I should say that it went down on the lift overnight, and they had a jack underneath it with a wooden block, and it actually pushed the oil pan up in. So we actually have to replace the oil pan on there as well. Not going to say what shop did it. However, kind of had to argue with them about it and basically say, hey, it wasn't like that when it went, but whatever. So we're going to be putting a new oil pan on it. And if we need any other pieces and parts, we have parts from a 6-liter van sitting here. So that's what all this stuff is here. This is all just extra stuff in case we were to need it. And then, we have the oil pan here. But we have all these pieces and parts for that van. And hopefully this is going to go as smooth as I'm hoping. So time will tell. And we're going to be doing the whole video series on this as well. And hopefully it goes as nice as I'm hoping. So all in all, we're going to have a lot to do on this van. The first thing we're going to be doing is obviously we're going to put this thing up on the lift, get all the body bolts out, or at least loose, and get them set up so that we only have maybe a couple to take out when we go to put it on the 2-post. We have to take the running boards off. We're going to be taking the bumpers off because obviously the 2-post isn't inside. So we're going to be pulling it out and then pushing it into the lift, taking the body off, pulling it back out, pushing it back inside the garage here. So we don't want the bumpers on so that we don't have to worry about them getting damaged, pushing or pulling the van around, because it'll be a bare frame. The fenders and hood should be able to stay. The headlights are going to come out. The grill's going to come out. There's a whole big section of the core support that can actually come out. So if you're underneath here, and you can see that this is loose already. These plastic screws are terrible. But this core support, if you look down in here, you can see that there's a bolt right here, right in the center of the screen there. So the center section of these core supports right here will actually unbolt from the rest of it, because the rest of this is actually part of the dog box here. So you can see the spot welds here. You can pull this fender off, but you're still going to have a dog box here, which is like your inner fender and everything like that. So this will all come off. And if you look down in here, we have the AC condenser, we have the intercooler, and we have a radiator. So we'll be pulling all of this off and covering all of this. And it's really, really hard to see, but the fuel filter is back there. So in order to get to the fuel filter, you literally have to take the airbox lid off, the air intake pipe. You have to take this power steering pump reservoir and push it off to the side, and actually take off the one intercooler pipe on this side that goes down and around. So it's very interesting to do service on these, which is why I said that these are which is why these are so much fun to do everything on, because everything is just so compact. We actually had to replace a vacuum booster on this a couple years ago, and a vacuum pump, which is way down there. So, these also have the fan shroud that is bolted to the engine as well as bolted to the radiator. So this is all going to come out before we pull this body off. Hopefully we can save the air conditioning on here. We're going to try to take the compressor off, which is mounted on the bottom on the one side, so we can keep the air compressor on and keep the AC system contained. Now, if you also notice, there's no batteries up here. We have a distribution box and an intake. On your older vans, the 460 vans, I do know the batteries were here. If you had two, there was two here, which was interesting. I'm not sure where the 7.3 ones are, but this one, they're under the van on the frame. So in reality, we literally just have to disconnect the positive side, which I do believe comes up from the bottom on this side. I haven't dug into that yet. We obviously have a power stud here, but I haven't looked to see where it comes into this box fully. We're still in the learning phase of doing this. However, everything up here is very, very tight, but you can get to most of it. And we're going to go ahead and show you how to get all of this stuff out of here. And we're going to drain the coolant and, not drain the power steering pump and stuff like that. And try to keep as much on here as physically possible to limit our messes and also what we need to be changing. So like the washer fill tube here, this goes way down there and is under here. So we might have to end up pulling this off and pulling that to get something, to get room. We'll just have to wait and see. So, there's a lot to do here, but we're going to have this whole front end taken off of here so that we can have full access to the engine here and hopefully have no issues with getting this body off. So we're going to try and video as much of this as physically possible, so that if you guys are going to be doing a task like this, now this is a pretty big task. A lot of guys don't want to pull a body on a Super Duty truck, let alone a Super Duty van. So we got a lot of stuff to take apart and get set up and try to get this thing so that we don't have any issues pulling the body. So we're going to be pulling this whole front section out, be trying to leave the air conditioning intact and pull the AC compressor off the van and set it off to the side so that it stays with the body so we don't have to bleed the system out. What's nice is this doesn't have the rear AC, so we just have to monitor the front side of it and all of its lines. So we've got a whole bunch of stuff to take out underneath here. Basically, we're going to pull this whole front end off. And the way that these are designed, you can pull the engine out through the front. However, that requires you to purchase about $2,000 in special tooling that is special to this van. And whenever you do that, the other problem that comes in here is you still have to remove the turbo in the van. You still have to remove the upper intake and the EGR, and all of that has to come off to allow room for you to get your engine hoist in. So you still have the issues of possibly having contamination from working in and outside the van. Now, I've done a turbo on this van, I think twice now, and it's not horrible to do the turbo on one of these. It just takes time because you're inside the van, you're outside the van, you're inside the van, you'll loosen something up, you come outside, you take something off, you go loosen something out in here, then you go back inside and take it off from the inside. So it's a lot of back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and you can do a turbo in a 6-liter van in about 3 hours. Taking your time doing it yourself, as say like a hobbyist, not a production shop. So, we're going to just take the body off because we got to pull the engine out. We didn't want to spend a whole bunch of money on special tools to get the engine out and then still have to do 25% of the work inside the van. This is also going to give us the opportunity to address any concerns on the bottom of this body as far as corrosion, paint, frame issues, because like the radius arms on this have a little bit of corrosion. So at this point, hey, we could take this thing, send it out and have it sandblasted and paint the frame. and make sure that this frame is going to last the life of the van. Now, don't get me wrong, the frame on this van is beautiful, but it's just we can take care of stuff that can't be taken care of with it all put together. The body mounts are starting to get old and dry, so I'm going to see if we can source some new body mounts. That way we can put new body mounts in here and then have that good ride back. So, there's a lot of things that you can do with the body off, and that's our goal here is we're going to try to make this van last forever. It is a 6-liter van, so 6 liters are either good or bad. There's not really an in-between. This one seems to have been a good one, so that's why we're spending the time and the money to make it last. Like I said, the van has been body worked and painted. You would never know that it was painted other than the fact that it looks brand new. And this paint is probably 5, 6, 7 years old now, and it's been a while. It still looks really good. So this is the kind of paint job that you want to have on your vehicle. So we always use this guy to do all of our paint work. He's phenomenal, and so we're trying to get this van to last. So right now he can drive it. It's still drivable. However, if he gets into the throttle any, it usually will just push coolant out of the bottle. So at this point, 6 liters, studs, head gaskets, heads. What's the problem? Did we lose a bolt? Did we blow a gasket? Do we have a cracked head? So at this point, it's like instead of tearing it all apart, figuring out what's wrong, and say, hey, we'll just fix, this part. We're going to throw the whole book at this thing because the vans suck to work on. They are not fun to do injectors. They are not fun to do glow plugs. It's not fun to do head studs. It's not fun to do heads. And it's not worth it to take it all apart and do one thing or even do 2 things. So take it apart, do everything, get it all done. And then once we're all done, this thing should be ready to go and not have any problems for another 100 to 200,000 miles, which would be technically the life for this van. So this is all preventative maintenance so that this thing will not grenade itself because we've already got a head gasket problem. We've put an FICM tune on it. It's got a tow tune on it. The van runs really, really good. It's just we have a little bit of a coolant problem. So that little coolant problem turned into a big problem and could turn into an even bigger problem. So we're trying to avoid all that. So we are going to have a series on this van, and hopefully we can cover as much as we can. Obviously the body bolts are going to take some time, and we're going to be tearing the whole front of this off, and we're going to try to video tearing off the front of this and show you what you're going to have to do if you decide to pull a body off of an E-Series van. Obviously the 6-liter is intercooled in this, so you have the intercooler to deal with. The 7.3 vans were not intercooled. So this will be a little bit of extra. So if you have a 7.3 van, it's a little bit easier because you don't have the intercooler and everything like that. But it'll be pretty much the same process since these bodies have gone unchanged since about 1992, 93. I forget when this style of van was introduced. They've done updates as far as, here forward on most years. And then at one point they changed the mirror design. So these are a 4-bolt mirror instead of a 3-bolt mirror. So you have a little bit of differences in the front 2 doors. I think that started in 2003. However, the rest of this body has remained unchanged. So if you have a van like this and you want to pull the body off, we're going to go ahead and cover pulling the body off of one of these because I've looked around, and at the time of this recording, there hasn't been too much covered on these E-Series vans. And they do have a very large following. A lot of guys love to make them 4-wheel drive. A lot of guys love to make them overlanding vehicles, campers. Guys still love to use them for work. So there's a lot of these vans still out there. So hopefully this will appeal to those guys that want to do their own work on their vans and try to keep them running longer, lasting longer. And maybe you want to do a little bit of performance stuff to them, which we're doing a little bit to this as well. So I hope you guys will follow along with this series with this van, and hopefully we can make this a good one and make some good content for you guys. So appreciate you watching, and hopefully we can keep making these videos for you. So really appreciate it if you like and subscribe to the channel. Share the videos out if somebody might use them, need them. That's what they're here for. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll catch you on the next one.